Now you find that quantity reason to match this self-belief. So all it is first figuring out evidence that matches your self-belief and then acting in a way that is in accordance with the self-belief so it gets strengthened with time. And of course, once you have that self-belief that you
Welcome to Summer First Experience. In this show, we'll be covering everything a new entrepreneur needs to know to set up their business and how you can grow and scale your business in the shortest possible time. If you have a question in mind, go to salmanfarsi.co/ask and submit your question. We might answer it in the next episode. Let's begin our today's episode. Today we have an amazing guest, Ibrahim Dar. Ibrahim Dar is an expert on social engineering, charisma, and influence, and has given talks on grabbing attention, leadership, and cultivating personal magnetism in front of audience, ranging from C-suite executive to students. Aside from speaking at corporate events and conferences, Dar has also given educational keynotes at university and academic institutions, including Middlesex University, Dubai, and Westernford University College. Today we'll be talking about networking for startup founders, how they can use charisma as an unfamiliar pitching advantage, and what they can do to master self-belief. Without wasting our time, let's start our today's episode. So Dar, for our listener who don't know about you, tell us a bit about yourself. How did you got to where you are today?
I'm the author of a book called Charm Like a Narcissist. It's a book about how you can be as charming as some of the most compelling cult leaders, politicians, and public figures. And aside from being an author and an authority in charisma, confidence, and public relations, I'm also an owner of two businesses, Market Capture Consulting, which is a business that helps personal brands grow and capture their piece of the market regionally, and the Magnetic Monkey Corporation, which trains CEOs and C-suite executives on how they can be more confident in their public appearances and how they can be more charming in their interpersonal interactions, which actually are better for their career and companies.
Okay. You mentioned you're the author of Charm Like a Narcissist. So what motivates you to write your book?
Yeah, the book comes from just my observation that some of the most compelling characters in modern public life aren't the ones who should be there. It's actually people who are prominent who should not be prominent because they aren't exactly the wholesome personalities who bring us together. It's personalities who divide us, personalities who make us do destructive things. And I believe that charisma should not be the exclusive domain of people who are narcissists, people who are toxic, but it can be a good guy's tool as well. So I just wanted to make charisma accessible to more people instead of just the people who are self-obsessed and they're studying charisma as a means to manipulate others. Instead, I wanted charisma to be something that anyone could just basically pick up a book, do a bunch of exercises, and develop this high quality, high level self-image that attracts people effortlessly. And I've seen firsthand how much of a change it can make in people. After which it wasn't a matter of why I'd write the book, it was a matter of why I wouldn't. And I couldn't because I had a job, I had a lot of work. But as I started my own business and had other people doing different tasks, it freed up my time. And the first thing I did after that was write this book because that was just in me, all this information. I wanted people to have it.
Okay. What is charisma to you?
Good question. Great question. Charisma, most people see charisma as like an aspect of a character that they really like. They might like James Bond, they might like Sherlock Holmes, they might like Iron Man. They're like, oh, that dude's charismatic. But really, what is charisma? Charisma, I believe, is someone who you think is special, making you feel special. So I'll give you an example of one of the most charismatic traits of Bill Clinton was that he'd remember names. And so many people read about that and think that, hey, if I remember names, I will be as charismatic as Bill Clinton. No, Bill Clinton was seen as special because of the position that he had. He was an up and coming would be president, and then at one point a president, and now a former president. Those titles bring prestige. I'll give you an example. If you're in a workplace and the receptionist remembers your name, you think, oh, she's pretty sharp. She remembers things. Her memory is good. That you see as a compliment to her memory. But if the CEO remembers your name, especially if the company is big, now it's not about his memory, it's about his personality. You believe, oh, the guy's charming, or I am charmed. It all starts with who you think is special. And the first part of the book really is about signaling this specialness. It's like how to carry yourself such that people who don't even know you think, hey, this dude might as well be a celebrity. This girl might as well be a high flyer. You have to first appear special, and then you have to make others feel special to be charismatic. Most people start off by trying to make others feel special, and that just feels desperate, or like being a people pleaser or being a chaser. It's like that person who cannot stop cracking jokes because they're addicted to seeing their friends laugh. That person is not charismatic. That's a class clown. Now make that person a millionaire or a business owner, suddenly them doing the same thing is more charismatic because people perceive them as special. So once again, to recap, charisma is someone who you think is special, making you feel special.
Okay. What is narcissism to you, and how do you spot a narcissist?
Okay. So this once again is a good question because a lot of people equate narcissism to obvious self-obsession. I say a good narcissist is like a good actor. If an actor is being a good actor, you don't even notice that they are acting. It's the same with narcissists. If a narcissist is being a good narcissist, you don't even notice that they're self-obsessed. You might think they're selfless even, and that they care too much about others because they're putting on this image. Narcissism is basically believing so highly of yourself that others become secondary. But if you're an intelligent narcissist, you won't make this belief obvious because you will have enough respect in your mind of the fact that if others think you're self-obsessed, they might shun you. So for your own self-interest, you might seem selfless. And so many gurus today, so many business leaders today put on an air of selflessness, but inside they're narcissists. So when I say charm like a narcissist, it's not about you being as charismatic as some self-obsessed person that you don't care about, because self-obsessed people aren't charming. If you notice someone is only obsessed with themselves, you don't even want to hang out with them. So narcissism really is about having such a high self-image and high self-opinion that others by default are below you in your mind. Charm Like a Narcissist isn't about you being a narcissist. It's about taking the positive aspect of it, which is the high self image, and bringing it to a normal personality so you too can have a better self opinion, so you can carry yourself with the same confidence as narcissists without actually being a pathetic narcissist.
What are the advantages of being narcissist?
Okay, the advantages of being a narcissist are countless. First of all, just in my book, I cover that narcissists start aiming at high positions early in life because they believe they deserve these positions. So I give the example of the class monitor or the class prefect. That's a position, especially when kids are too young, they don't even stand for that position. It's like, hey, who wants to be a class monitor? And only like two people will raise their hands. And generally, both of them are narcissistic. And the rest of the kids are like, nah, I just want to chill. So those two become the prefects, not because they're qualified, but because they try. And here's the catch. By the time these kids graduate or are even in the middle school, now everyone wants to be the prefect because they see the utility in it. Now, who wants to be the class prefect? These two kids, the narcissists, now have experience. By the time there is competition, they have experience. And guess what? This happens all the way to corporate leadership, because these are the kids, these are the people who have experience in leadership because they tried at positions of leadership before anyone. So number one advantage of narcissism is that narcissists try to get high positions. They aim high naturally. Second advantage of narcissism is that they're generally happier because they have a positive self-image. A lot of what we do in life is about earning our own respect. Some people believe, one second.
Sure.
Some people believe, hey, if I become a millionaire, I will respect myself. Others believe, hey, if I get this number of girls, I will have my own respect. It's all about feeling good. There are certain clothes, certain brands that feel good. Pretty much everything after you're fed, if there's food in your belly, is about feeling good. Narcissists naturally feel good. A narcissist in a hut might feel good because in his mind, he's like, oh, this is temporary. I'm going to be in a mansion. Then a person who's actually in a mansion who's thinking, maybe I don't deserve this. Maybe this will all, it's fleeting. It will go away. I don't deserve this. I didn't do anything to get it. So narcissists usually feel good. Narcissists usually try more often, and they try at higher positions in life. And these two really are the key advantages of being a narcissist. The disadvantage, it's a whole different story. Is that your next question? The disadvantages?
Yeah.
Okay, so the disadvantages of being a narcissist really are that it all falls apart because narcissism is unsustainable. After a while, it becomes too much for everyone who's around you. So the solution of a narcissist is to grift. It's to go into one circle, be a narcissist, get as much out of people as you can. And then these people are all like bitter because you're not a giver. You're just me all the time. Suddenly the charm goes away. Everyone sees you for who you are. And then you move on to the next group, to the next company, to the next class, to the next person in a relationship. If you're a serial dater who has a history of people just not being happy with you. So narcissism is unsustainable. And in Charm Like a Narcissist, I make sure that when you take the positive aspects, what makes narcissists charismatic in the first place, the reason people find it hard to detach from narcissists, when you take those reasons, you take that compelling things about the personality, you do not also take what's unsustainable about narcissism, what makes narcissism something that always falls apart, how you can tell the difference between wanting attention for the sake of attention, which is what narcissists do, than wanting attention for a specific cause and taking it in a productive direction.
In pre-podcast form, you mentioned you grew up overweight and overlooked, but this worked to be your advantage. Can you say something about that?
Okay, I grew up fat. And here's the thing, the advantage of being a fat person is that you have to cultivate a compelling personality. If you are anything really but the most perfect looking hot guy or the most perfect looking hot girl, you do not even know that you're cultivating an advantage, which is that you have to cultivate a better personality, a better character to have the same level of social attention as, say, the top sports player in your school or the most beautiful girl in your school. So I grew up overweight and I was overlooked, of course, because of it. That compelled me to upgrade my social skills. And then when I lost my weight, I was like, wow, that's a superpower because I have others who are just as slim or fit as me, but they have the personalities of a cardboard, and I have the personality of a fat person. The fat person personality advantage is real. The more fat you are, especially growing up, the better your personality is going to be because you have to be socially competent because kids are brutal. Okay, if you want to make sure that kids are nice to you, that kids don't ignore you, and more importantly, if kids are not mean to you, you have to be fun enough for them to say, hey, we don't want to piss off this guy. He's a fun hang. So that was my advantage. I cultivated an engaging personality as a defense mechanism because of how easy to bully or make fun of I was. I was like, I have to be so fun that the fun someone would have making fun of me would seem like a short-term gain as opposed to losing my friendship. So I had to make hanging with me such a valuable experience. And that's how I cultivated my sense of humor, which then became just like an extreme advantage once I slimmed down and all those people who judge on the first impression stopped doing that. So it opened more doors for me. So if you are anything but the perfect looking person within your respective gender, you have the advantage of already cultivating a very strong and a very compelling personality. And all you have to do is just groom yourself better, smell better, exercise, come to the right weight class, and you will be bringing some heavyweight advantages. It will be like a social personality on steroids. So if there's anyone who's slightly overweight, for example, listening to this podcast, this is the good news. It's like if you slim down to whatever degree, you will be better in terms of social skills than every other slim person who matches you within that category, because those people don't have that easy of a target on their back. So they don't have to do anything socially to keep that target off of them. You subconsciously have been cultivating a strong personality, and that's going to be your superpower.
I also grew up as an overweighted person, so I can relate a few things.
Okay. So you find it now. You also notice that other people who are just as slim as you might not be as socially engaging as you, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's a fat person advantage. If I was a parenting guru, I would basically write a book about how you should raise your kids fat and then make them slim down so they're socially competent and have a developed personality.
Yeah. Losing weight, there's a lot of story of mine.
Mm-hmm. So how did it feel? How did you finally figure out that, hey, I've lost weight?
Ah,
because it's so gradual. So when did you have that moment of, oh, I'm a fit guy now? So when did you have that epiphany?
it's a bit funny because with the moment
Sure.
I realized that I'm fit now, I lost a lot of my hairs because
Oh,
yeah,
really?
I exercise a lot, and I didn't eat that much food. So I used to do around 10 to 12 hours a day doing exercise and other stuff.
Of what?
And
Wow.
I have done many things. And that, compared to the amount I'm using my energy, I didn't eat that much. So
Okay.
within a month, I lose around 20 kgs in a month.
Wow.
That was one of the biggest.
Wow. It took me 5 months for 37 kgs. Wow. So what compelled you to do this? Like all of a sudden to put so much? Did you go through heartbreak or a breakup and you're like, I'm going to show this girl what she's missing out on?
I realized by myself one day, I just measure my weight. So I see this spit over too much, and you know how does it feels?
Yeah.
So it hit my self-respect, then happened.
I will tell you how it went with me. I slipped on a basketball and fell on my butt, and that really affected my. I got a slip disc. So the doctor basically said that if you do not lose weight, you might not be able to walk in the future. So that was strong motivation. Talk about motivation. I was like, oh, I want to keep walking. So then every single day I started walking for 30 minutes and then just changed my diet according to carbohydrate cycling, some standard internet plan. And what happened was it was just so gradual that one day I was just looking at old photos and I got like completely mind blown because I was looking at a picture from 3 months before. I was like, wow, that's me. And then I went and showed to my parents, and they're like, oh, even we don't remember, like, oh, you used to be like this. So we had that moment of, oh my God, I'm slim. And then I continued for another 2 months, and then I was like, okay, this is enough. So I actually had that moment of seeing an old photo and going like, wow. So you never had one of those?
Yeah, that's an amazing feelings.
So what do you do to maintain this? What do you do to maintain the weight that you're at?
Actually, don't do that much. After that.
Okay, so you're naturally fit now.
Yeah, and after that event, I have seen that I can shift my weight too easily. If I'm fat now, if I want to lose weight, I can lose weight fast. If I want to grow weight,
yeah,
I can do that fast too.
Okay.
Okay, you said like mentioned about social skill. So how do someone develop their social skill?
I think social skills must start from a place of confidence, because if you do not have a high self-opinion, everything you do is to please people. And in that, you can become like socially, you can become a notch or two below the other person because you're trying to please them. Instead, if you first feel good about yourself, then even when you're pleasing someone, it's like, oh, I'm doing this because I want to do good, not because I want someone to acknowledge me. So earning your self-respect is the key to all social skills. Your social skills will naturally emerge from a positive self-image. So you should start by counting everything that is good about you. I'll tell you something. People say, I'm confident, I'm not confident, whatever. Everyone has an opinion about their level of confidence. but we're born pretty confident because there's no baby who's born in who says, I'm not going to cry because I'm not confident, I'm an introvert, so I'm going to text my mom that I need milk. No, everyone cries the same.
Yeah.
Okay, we have different range of vocal cords, but we all cry. We're public speakers. And more importantly, we don't worry about the next time whether there's going to be milk or not, because we're 100% confident in our mother's ability to provide. And as we grow up, we see that the dad brings or the mom brings home the cash, and we understand how cash works. But we still don't think about, oh, what if cash runs out? Will we have dinner for tomorrow? Will my parents have a job next month? Because we're not aware of all these limitations. We believe our parents have unlimited power or unlimited resources, so we have unlimited confidence in them. And then one thing changes. We become aware of our parents' limitations, and then we start doubting them. We have doubts about whether they'll be able to afford something that we want, for example. But what I want you to pay attention to is that this lack of confidence or change in confidence corresponds to knowledge of their limitations. Here's what's unfair about life. Everyone is out there putting out their best self. So you're aware of everyone's virtues, everyone's good things, everyone on Instagram, this is how they travel, this is how their relationship is going. You know everything positive about everyone, but you're the most aware of your own flaws. And that's why it's so hard to be confident in yourself, because you have this extreme amount of knowledge of your own limitations. In the absence of the knowledge of limitations, we're all confident. If you, like, for example, we're confident in banks and money because we're not aware of the limitations of currency and how systems can collapse. Now you ask financial experts or billionaires, that there's a reason why they have so many hard assets, for example. So knowledge is what affects confidence, especially knowledge of limitations. What you have to do is you have to offset how much you are aware of, how aware you are of your own limitations. You have to offset that by being aware of your own positives. We rarely count our own positives. So if I were you, I would have a sheet and I will have a pen and I will write my virtues, starting with how I lost weight. It's like I set a target and I achieved it. So first of all, I lost weight, but secondly, I'm a fighter. If I pick something, I do it. And now that itself has such a difference on your own self-image, because next time you fail at something, you're not going to take it personally. You will go back to that story and say, hey, you know who I am? I'm a fighter. That's your self-image now. So you fight. You're like, I'm someone who gets up one more time because that's what I did for a whole month straight to be where I am today. So once your self-image is fixed, then you just go out and practice socializing. You say hi to someone, they ignore you. You're like, so what? I'm awesome. It's all right. Others' rejection or others' lack of interest does not affect how I see myself, because I have this evidence, a list of things that show me that I am good. And once you have that lack of neediness, all interactions are about you two having fun. So you're not making interactions fun to get others to laugh, to get someone else interested. It's about you making a fun place and fun environment for yourself and for others. And that is how you develop social skills, really. It's about exercise. But before that, there's a lot of internal game. You have to master your mindset.
Yeah. Mindset is one of the most important thing, I believe.
Definitely.
How do you master self-belief?
Mastering self-belief really is about repetition, and it's about the first stage is all mental. So you sit and you write down everything. So give me an example of one belief that you would like to have about yourself.
One belief. I'm good at videos.
Okay. Let's say your self-belief is I'm good at making videos. Yeah. So you write that down. I am good at making videos on top of a piece of paper. And then you go back and try to look for evidence that matches this. It's possible that you've never even made a single video, but then you can look at how entertaining you are or how you appreciate certain films more than others. And you're like, hey, I have a good eye for what works visually. And now you've written that on a piece of paper like that. Force yourself to figure out 20 reasons why you are good at making videos before you've done anything else. Now, here's the interesting thing about the brain is that if you feed it a question and force it to find an answer, it's a creative problem-solving machine. It will figure out the answer. So soon enough, you will have 20 reasons why you're good at making videos. Now, this will give you the momentum to make your first video or make your next video. And that's important because this is what transitions and grounds your self-belief into reality, because you have to then act in a way that matches all this evidence. So you have to make more videos. And now you start finding reasons in quantity or quality. If you make the next video and it's a Scorsese level video, you're like, yeah, I'm good at making videos. But what if you make the next video and it sucks?
I'm going to make another one.
Now you have to make, so now you have to make 5 videos in a single day. And you're like, hey, guess what? Most creators make 1 video in 7 days, and I'm making 5 in 1 day. So now you find that quantity reason to match this self-belief. So all it is first figuring out evidence that matches your self-belief and then acting in a way that is in accordance with the self-belief so it gets strengthened with time. And of course, once you have that self-belief that you're good at videos, you are going to become better at videos.
Yeah. Okay, so how does networking help your business?
Can you come again?
How does networking help your business?
Okay, networking helps your business because I'll tell you something. I was once crossing this villa, which used to be like a compound business. And this was back when I was an employee myself. And I was walking with a colleague of mine. And I pointed towards the villa. It was just a rundown, empty villa with a board hanging like completely like off it. And I just pointed to it and I said, hey, Beverly, that's what a business is without people. So business really is all about people because it's people doing things for other people and then people having transactions. Networking helps on every aspect of it. Internally, you can bring a team together because you have good social skills, but externally, you get doors open across with different decision makers. And it's not about what's the best deal rationally for which business. Humans are not computers as much as they like to pretend, even at the highest level. People just do business with people they like. So the more likable you are, the more socially open you are, the more doors that opens for you. I'll give you an example. For market capture consulting, I started with 2 clients really, and 100% of them, that is both of them, brought me, one client brought me 3 other clients, And one client brought me over 250 different clients. So it's crazy how much people will do for people who they like. It wasn't solely, I'd like to believe that a part of it was because of the value that my business was generating for them. But you can sit and just take the value for which you pay. But they went out of their way to find other people for me because they were personally invested in me. So improving your social skills really is worth it. Whether it's for your career, you could be in a 9-to-5 job and you might want to be promoted. Once again, people don't get promoted because of merit. People get promoted because a decision maker can promote them, and then that decision maker likes them. So those are the only two reasons people get promoted. It's not about merit. Merit is what they use to rationalize it.
What is the most common mistake people make in terms of networking?
Oh, the most common mistake people make is they just go towards people and then they just beat them with, like, for example, I've literally not asked people to buy my book on this podcast, but imagine if every question I was like, in my book, Charm Like a Narcissist, which is available on Amazon, I have done this. In my book, there's the secret. Like, you ask me a question and instead of giving you an answer, I'm like, hey, in my book, I have the answer to this. No, I'm going to give you the answer right here. Take it or leave it. What I'm doing is I'm just being likable. I'm just being a good personality on your show. That is going to get more people interested in my coaching business and in my book than if I were to beat people over their heads with my book. What most people do with networking is that they try to network, quote unquote, in their first attempt. And they just go and shake hands. They're like, hey, what do you do? What do I do? Hey, I could do this and we could do this together. No. In networking events or any situation, the first thing you should do is to be a fun hang. So much of good things in life, so many doors open just because you're fun to hang out with. And that's what a lot of people who do golf, they say no business on the golf course. It's actually automated into the golf etiquette. It's like, oh, we're just going to have fun. And that really works well for networking because they're not talking business. Whereas the middle class people who are going to networking events as opposed to golf courses are just talking business, position. And everyone is in their mindset of what I can get out of the other person. Instead, just go there with the goal of being someone who's fun to hang out with. Like, let's suppose, give me a second. There's an executive whose attention could help my business. My goal should not even be to get his number. It should not be to get his business. Most certainly shouldn't be that as first impression. My goal should be that after we hang out, that person just goes and thinks, that's an interesting guy to hang out with. That's it. Yeah. Most people make the mistake of thinking that, I'm never going to get next to this person ever again, so let me get something out of them right now. And that puts people in a defensive position as opposed to a position where they can help you and feel like their cup is full and it can overflow to you. They're like, oh my God, this guy wants something from me. Just go away. So don't make that mistake. Just try to be a fun person to hang out with.
Absolutely. What's your best advice for those who have just started their business?
Whatever venture you have started, I would say, I'll just take a page from Charm Like a Narcissist. And don't worry, you don't have to buy the book to know how to do this. Narcissists, usually, as I said, their advantage is that they aim at higher positions, But even when they fail, they don't go like, oh, this is my fault, I should never have tried. They dismiss it. They never take blame for their failure, and that allows them to take another shot at success. Okay, you will see no, and they will suddenly say, oh, she's just doesn't have great taste, I guess. And they will go to the next person, and they will not say, oh my God, I got rejected, I'm never going to ask out another person ever again. So if you're starting a new business, if you're starting a new podcast, if you're starting any new project, please have a goal to fail at least 20 times. That way, when you fail, you don't take it personal. You go like, oh, that's 1 L down, 19 L's left until I am at the pro level. Because it's only 20 failures in that the serious remain and everyone else goes away. So it takes the first 20 interviews going horribly. It takes the first 20 uploads going horribly. It takes the first 20 episodes with 0 downloads for the serious podcaster to remain in the game. It takes the first 20 months to be terrible in a business for only the serious to remain. So don't take the initial failures personally, because they really, 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 really are not just even a part of what you're doing, but they are necessary steps that you have to go through. So factor in a space for 20 failures in whatever project you're starting out. And that's the narcissistic way of sticking around until you're the only great that remains.
That was great. We are almost at the end. Where can our listener find you? Okay,
so the listeners could probably, going by the show notes, go to my website, www.ibrahimdar.com, and there, through the contact section, they can get in touch with me. I'm not too fond of social media. I really don't have social media. My company does, and we handle social media for clients, but I like to keep my circles in real life privately. And I have a newsletter, which if someone contacts me, they'll be in my newsletter after that. So they'll be getting daily thoughts from me and how I think the world is shifting and everything. So I have over like about 200,000 people who follow me through my newsletter, and they actually read what I say as opposed to putting things on social media and then just watching how many people like 16 to 20. So I don't do social media. It's too scattered for me. I might at some point hire a team to do it. I personally am off social media. So the only way your people can get in touch with me is through my website if they contact me. And the good thing about me not doing social media is that almost everyone who messages me through the contact section gets to hear back from me, because I have time to do that. So at least as of now, I have time to do that. So your readers, if they like anything from this, they could go to my website, either get my book or just get in touch with me if they have any questions. I can answer them directly. Thank you.
Okay, that's how we end it. See you on the next episode. Thanks for joining us today. Hit the subscribe button, and if you are listening this on Apple Podcast, please leave a review. This will really help us to make our future episodes better. Have a question in mind? Go to sonofarsi.co/ask and submit your question. We see every submission and we might answer it in the next episode. Thanks again for listening. We will see you on Tuesday and Thursday. Have a great week.